Hello viewers, how are you? Hope you are fine. Welcome back to my channel Drawing Time with Story. If you are new in my channel, I will introduce myself and my channel with you. I am Surya Parvin, and in my channel I select an object or a theme to draw, and while drawing you will not get bored because I will gossip with you, I will narrate a story, or simply just deliver some information related to the topic I select to draw, and we will gossip related to the topic, my personal experiences, or just simply the occurrences that happens around us. So we will draw together, we will gossip together, we will enjoy together. So please don't forget to subscribe my channel to stay connected with me, to stay connected with obviously drawing time with the story. So as you saw, my today's theme is the blood moon, and I will definitely tell you a scary story about the blood moon. So be prepared and get jump to the story. So, Blood Moon is a scary story for kids about a young girl who goes missing when she is out on the walk one night. It is based on a tale told over 100 years ago by a 9-year-old disabled girl named Fanny in Lincolnshire, England. Long, long ago, the land was all in bogs, with great pools of black water and creeping trickles of green water, and squishy mounds of earth that would suck you in if you stepped on them. Well, my grandmother used to say how in her time a young girl was once dead and buried in the marshes. If you want, I will tell you all about it, just as she used to tell me. The moon above would shine and shine, and when it shone, it lit up all the bog pools, so you could walk about almost as safe as in the day. But when the moon didn't shine, then out came the things that dwell in the darkness, and they went about seeking to do evil and harm and mischance and mischief to all that were not safe at home by their fireplaces. Ghosts and ghouls and creeping terrors and crawling horrors, they all came out on nights when the moon didn't shine. Well, it so happened that a girl had to travel across the boglands one night. She was very troubled because she had heard all the stories people told about the evil doings that transpired on the bogs. So, sure enough, that fateful night out she stepped, wrapped up in a black cloak and with a black hood over her long blonde hair. She went straight to the box edge and looked about her. There was water here and water there, waving tufts of grass and trembling mounds of earth and great black snakes all twisted and bent. On she went, almost into the middle of the bogs, and looking about her, she could see queer things lurking in the darkness, grinning and grimacing at her as she passed. Evil eyes glowed from the darkest corners, and the whips danced about with their lanterns swinging in the distance. But the moon shone down brightly, and its light kept the dark things at bay. However, the girl had no idea that she had chanced to go out across the bog lands on the night of a blood moon. That is what they call it when there is a total eclipse of the moon. The moon passes behind the earth and its light is blotted out. leaving just a red glow in the sky where the moon should be. And so it came to pass that when the girl was only halfway across the box, the moon faded out, and the blood moon appeared, and she was plunged into darkness. Before her, all was dark. After her, all was dark. Dark but for the glimmer of the stars in the black pools and the reddish glow of that bloody moon. That is very scary to the little girl. The girl drew her cloak tight about her and trembled in fear. She was afraid to go forward, but she couldn't go back, being unable to see her way in the darkness. So onwards she went, stepping as lightly as she could from tuft to tuft, picking her way between the greedy, gurgling water holes. She couldn't see where she was, or where the path was, or how she could get out of the marsh, and she all walked. The evil things began to emerge out of their hiding places. The frightened girl looked about her, and she saw nothing but shifting, flurrying, evil things coming and going here and there, busy with their own ill work. Then the dead folks rose in the water and started at her with white, twisted faces and hellfire in their empty eye holes. And the slimy, dripping dead hands slithered about, beckoning and pointing and making her skin crawl with their cold, wet feel. And all round about her the grinning cows and the dead folk and the creeping horrors crawled and crowded. Their voices mocked her, and the dead hands plucked at her and ahead. The the whips tangled their lanterns and shook with evil glee as they led her further and further from the right path, and closer to the deep holes and the deadly quakes. Shaking with fear and loathing for the things about her, she struggled on towards the flickering lights that looked like help and safety. Just as the girl came near a big black pool, her foot slipped and she almost tumbled in. She grabbed with both hands at a black snake nearby to steady herself with, but as soon as she touched it, the snake twined itself around her wrists like a pair of handcuffs and gripped her so tight that she couldn't move. She pulled and twisted and fought, but it was no good. She was stuck fast and she couldn't get free. So she looked about fearfully and wondered if help would ever come. The poor girl stood trembling in the dark. She called and called for help, and then her voice died away with a sob. She began again with a screech of fear and called until the marshes were full of her pitiful crying voice. "Help!" she cried. "I am caught in a boglands. Can anyone hear me? God and Mary, save me from the horrors. Please help me." And then she would stop and sob and mourn and call all the angels and saints and God Himself to fetch her out. And then she would break out into a strike again as the slimy, slithery things crawled over her face until she couldn't even see the false lights in front of her. And then, as if it wasn't bad enough already, the horrors would take all sorts of shapes, and handsome boys would peek at her with bright eyes and stretch out soft helping hands, but when she would try to catch hold of them, they would change in her grip to slimy things and shapeless worms, and the wicked voices would mock her with foul voices. And all the evil things came and whispered in her ears and danced about and shouted out the secret things of her own heart, until she cried and sobbed with shame, and the horrors crawled and gibbered round about and mocked her some more. Then she heard footsteps floundering along, squishing in the mud and slipping on the tufts, and through the darkness she saw a white face with wild staring eyes. It was a man who lived on the box, an evil and depraved man who went out every night looking for young girls, hoping they might stray off the path and fall into his sweetie clutches. And when the poor girl saw that he was coming nearer and nearer, she was so mad with terror that she struggled and fought and pulled harder than ever. But she couldn't get loose, no matter how she twisted and turned. When the man laid eyes on her, he was overcome by a strange desire, and dark thoughts were swirling about in his mind. The girl could see his feverish grin and the depraved look in his eyes. A great fear came over her, so she pulled and fought as if she were a mad thing, till she fell on her knees, spent with tugging at the foot of the black snake. And as she lay there gasping for breath, the man clutches her in his hairy hands and got on top of her. With a screech and a howl, the evil things came crawling about her, mocking and snatching and beating with rage and spite, and swearing with foul tongues, spitting and snarling, and the poor girl crouched trembling and sick in the mud, and wondered when they would make an end of her. The dead folk moaned, and the evil things howled until the very tufts of grass shook, and the squishy earthen mounds pulsed, and the black water gurgled. And then it began, hurt her, smoother her, whispered the crawling horrors as they twined themselves around her knees. The evil things howled again, bury her, screamed the goats and the cows as they grinned about her and chuckled to themselves. They all shouted with spite and ill. They fought and squabbed about what they should do with her, and the poor girl lay there on the ground and wished she was dead and done with. As a pale grey light began to come in the sky and the dawn drew close, the evil man caught hold of her with horrid bony fingers and squeezed the life out of her and laid her deep in the water at the foot of the snake. And the dead folk held her down while the evil things fetched a big stone and rolled it on top of her to keep her from rising. The next day, the parents and the townsfolk found the dead body in the bog. So, parents and the townsfolk went home carrying the dead girl's body between them. Their hearts were heavy, but they were glad they had finally found her. The next day, they gave her a decent Christian burial in the village cemetery, and ever since the moon shines brighter and clearer over the bogs than ever before. That is the end of the story. So how was the drawing and the story today? Please let me know in my comment section. I always try to read all the comments and answer them. So if you forget to subscribe my channel, Please subscribe my channel and hit the red button to get notified whenever I release a brand new video. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay with Drawing Time with the Story. Hopefully, we will have a great time together. So, we will see soon with a new video and a brand new story just for you. Till then, bye. Stay safe.